Hello. Wow, we're finally doing this. We have been preparing for this to start this podcast for a while, and finally we are doing it. And just to have a moment also to present ourselves, we are here in the name of Awaken Experience, and hopefully we'll start doing this podcast more often, where we will be discussing several thematics that we all tend to deal with in life. And so just to start, I'm Mariana Puja.
I'm Ashik.
I'm Laxmi.
And today we chose a few questions that we find are so common and there are so many times bring up in relationships, in our lives. And yeah, we're going to go open the table for a nice points of view and to bring some insights of how we feel about these topics. So I'm going to start reading. And the first one that I see myself so much in this, which was a client who wrote that every time I get into a relationship, I end up losing myself. And when I'm single, I feel confident, powerful, happy. But as soon as I'm with someone, I become more anxious, more insecure, and I start questioning my worth. Why does this always happen, and how can I stop it?
Such an interesting question. And that's why Tantra starts in ourselves. That's why Awaken Experience work. It's a lot to remember who we are, to feel ourselves while we are with the other, to remember the possibilities to be with the other, but still feeling ourselves. That's the point. That's the key, to not get lost in the others. And as a man, we tend to get all the responsibility for the relationship, also on sex. The responsibility if the woman has pleasure, if the woman has the orgasm. And we as men, we forget a lot to feel ourselves, to feel our own skin, to feel our needs, our boundaries, our limits in what we can give to the other. And we get lost. And that's natural to get lost if we just go to the other, to feel the other, to respond to the needs of the other, and we forget ourselves. And that's so important to remember us, to remember it's not a selfish act. It's actually a very generous act, because we are showing to the other what we really are.
Yes, and I think this is a very common thing that happens to, in my perspective, women more. I know because I'm a woman, and it's happened to me in my past. I would say when we are single, it's very easy to be good with your practice, good with your self-discipline, your diet, your exercise, your spiritual connection. But then when we come into partnership, that's when the mirrors start to come up. That's when our triggers start to get activated, because the partner is showing us where we need to grow. And when we do Tantra, we learn how to feel ourselves, first of all, and then how to respond in a partnership with more awareness and more consciousness. So tantric practices that we do during Awaken Experience really show you this. They show you how to discover what your boundaries are, feel what a good yes is, like an authentic yes, and feel what a no is with love, So rather than just saying no to your partner, you say something more compassionate, like, this isn't feeling good for me now. I need to give you a no, but it's not a rejection, So finding ways to honor your no with love and respect for the other, as well as for yourself. So when we learn how to know what we want, how to establish healthy boundaries and communicate with love, then we can find ways to really feel our true, authentic self within a relationship, and not just losing ourselves with the other. Because usually why we lose ourselves with the other is because we haven't done enough inner work for ourselves and with a partner. So we can do all the inner work that we want, and then we're in a relationship and it feels like that inner work goes out the window. So practicing Tantra with your partner can really help you both to navigate that.
Yeah. And while I'm hearing you, I'm really connecting with this the inner child work, which is, it always brings us there, right? That I see for myself, because it was always a challenge. I just realized I lose myself way after I lose myself. I mean, it's also hard, the path of understanding what you really want, what is a full yes, while you are navigating a relationship, and you have the tendency to prioritize the relationship because that's your pattern from childhood. You had to be a good girl for daddy to like you. You had to please, you had to do many things in order to maintain the most important thing, which was a connection with your parents or the people who were taking care of you. Otherwise you would not survive. So it's very hard. And like, love yourself. When we say love yourself, it's like, but, and I say personally, I've done so much work and I'm still like, oh, but how do I do that? And it is in daily practices. This is what I'm very passionate about, this work with Tantra, because it's a spiritual practice that you learn how to practice embodied in the real world. Because it is true, like, you can be an amazing meditator and have an amazing practice of meditation, breath work, and all of that. And then when you have someone in front of you, everything goes away, because the pattern of I need to prioritize the connection will come up. And I remember this exercise, the first time I did with both of you, that was the way you were guiding, that felt very special, which was like when you're eye gazing with someone. And normally we either do two things. Is either we disconnect and we start thinking about the laundry we have to do, and the Excel sheets in my head that I need to fill up, or we start wondering, does this person like me? Am I pretty? Do I have something in my... And how to be in connection while I can still feel myself. It's so easy, but it's so hard because there's so much on the way. So yeah, in my perspective, is not something like, say, love yourself. Means nothing. It's practice. Love yourself in practice. And this is where places like Awaken Experience can be such a potential, because you are in a safe container. It's easier than outside. And you start practicing, because it's like a muscle. At the end is a muscle, right? Presence and feeling like, oh my God, you will still feel like, does this person like me? It's not that you're not going to feel that, no?
Yeah.
I still feel, even the other day I was doing this workshop and okay, this person is more attracted. Oh, it's different. Now I may lose myself. Yeah, but I can practice going back to myself while feeling this. So it is a practice that doesn't happen only in retreats, but it's something that you become more and more aware until the muscle is so strong that you'll still feel all of that, the patterns being played out, but there is a presence.
Yeah.
But not that I love this question because it's I'm a sadist, but I love this question because it's the reality, I guess, for at least half of the population who are very codependent. So it's so important to address it.
Yeah, it's normal for us as mammals to have that dependency of the other, that need of the other. It's so important, that aspect, that to bring some healing from the childhood to our daily life. And I believe that that's the key that Tantra, the true lineage of Tantra, can bring, because you can have the meditation, as you spoke, and do it, to be totally present for what it is, But if you don't have the other pillar of Tantra, that is love, there is something missing. And you can be meditating in a cave for 20 years, and then it arrives at the person, and how you react to the other, how you react from your heart, how, especially when we have an attraction, when we want the other, how we deal with that, how we don't get lost in the other. It's a fabulous question, and I think it's practice, as you said. It's a muscle, it's exercise, and we are not being trained in the schools, in universities, to train that, to love ourselves, to take care of us, and to feel ourselves when we are with the other.
And that's the thing, just like you said, self-love is a practice, and self-love is a relationship. So when we're in a relationship with another, with your mother, your friend, it goes through ups and downs. You have closeness and distance, and that's the thing with self-love as well. It's not just flat, like, okay, I love myself and everything is bliss. It's more like a journey, and it's ever-changing and a practice. So, every day you need to work at it or to get better at it, just like playing tennis or doing yoga. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
No.
And it's not about, arriving somewhere. It's about the journey and the discovery and the creation of yourself.
While we are talking about this thematic, also I see a lot of people going into like, I don't want to lose myself again in a relationship, which can also lead us to the opposite, right? It's like, I don't let nobody in. And yeah, you are quite an example for me. I don't mean that you are. I know you have your issues, but as a couple, I think you've navigated many things. And so also, like, we are talking about not losing ourselves, but also like, how much do we need to, in a way, also lose ourselves to bonds? It's, do you understand what I mean? Because also I'm always scared when I talk about this, that we get too much into a defensive, no, I need to feel myself. It is true, but also sometimes you need to compromise or not to make it. Or I like that word better. Yeah.
Well, both are necessary, compromise and surrender. And I think, like I was saying, self-love isn't a destination, but like you are a creation. And then when you're not the same as you were when you were 5 years old. And that's a good thing. We're constantly evolving and changing. And when we meet with another, we create this coupledom, this relationship. And for me, I would like to change. I want to be in a relationship to change and to grow. Not to say that I need to change, but I want to evolve. I want to look at my patterns and my shadows and evolve them, to accept them, to shine the light of awareness on them, and to use them for something positive, not like something to limit me. So there is a surrendering and a compromise and an expansion of who you are, but hopefully the relationship will help you to grow into a better version of yourself. Not to say that you need to change, but perhaps you can improve and become a better human through your relating.
Yeah, I would say that the relation might bring you to your true self, because it's very difficult to hide. I can hide from a friend. I can hide in work because I'm just a short term there. But if I'm living alive with someone, and it's very difficult to hide myself. And I believe that the answer to your question, it's very similar. How I get lost and how I can go back to myself. It's very similar with meditation, because when I'm breathing, trying to be present for the moment that is, my mind goes away, and I can always to come back. My breath, my heart, to my body, and in the relation, I believe it's like a breathing also. I inspire, I exhale, and sometimes I get a bit lost. Sometimes I get more experience on observing how I'm getting lost. And okay, I have to return. And it's a big exercise for me to feel myself. It's why my work and my sharing, my facilitating, it's a lot about to feel myself while I'm with the other, because it's so easy to feel the other. To I'm going to do this, you are going to enjoy more, and then I have the return. I'm more loved, and I want to be more loved. But when I'm more loved, if it is not my real self, uh, it's not me that is being loved. It's something else that is not real. And to go back to that realness, to that truth, and to go out also, and to have the possibility to come back, this dynamic, this exercise, like life, like everything is Shakti, everything is creation, everything is moving, is changing, is alive, is energy.
Wow. I love this, because the feeling you bring up here is not that you lose yourself in a relationship. It's the opposite. It's if you're doing the right work, the relationship is bringing you even closer to yourself, because you get an immediate mirror of, are you being true or are you playing games? And it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the paradox.
Yes. Yeah.
Life is a paradox. It's not a contradiction. It's amazing.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move to the next question?
Yes.
Okay. So, and so this is from a man, and he is saying that my wife says I come across like a predator every time I try to initiate intimacy with my wife. I genuinely love her and don't want her to feel that way, but I don't know what else to do. How can we break this pattern?
I believe that the communication in a couple, it's fundamental. It's impossible to have true intimacy without true communication. And the man has to have courage to share how it is for him to be with her, how it is the difference. And maybe as men, maybe we are a bit basic. Maybe we are a bit, in a female perspective, we are a bit, we want sex, we want genitals, we want connection. We have a lot of connection by the sexual connection, and that might be very different from the woman's side. And it's a complex question, and the man showing that rawness to the woman can be scary. But if there is love there together with that truth, with a good communication, maybe there is a possibility to understand when the man wants, I want more sex, I want more connection, what he is looking for. Maybe he's looking to have what the woman they call heart connection, and maybe all that needs to be spoken. It's my perspective.
I would say it's very important to have the understanding of where the woman is at that moment, like, so if the man is like, if I would give this advice to the man asking this question, I would say, where is your woman? Try to be sensitive to where she's at. And, is she in her follicular stage or her luteal phase? Knowing where she is at in her cycle, and also being aware of where she's at in her day. Like, did she have a hard day? Did she have a good day? Is she feeling overwhelmed or stressed? And then being able to connect with her in the heart first to see where she's at, and walk her down the path and get to a place where she feels safe and erotic and open to be able to meet your needs if you want some wild, crazy sex. You know, she might not be in that phase of her cycle or her life. So I think it's really important to communicate energetically, emotionally, and verbally, like to really know where she's at before you can just have your way with her. I would say, and that brings up correlates to the point you said about communication. You know, knowing what you both want. What would help her to become open to that? Maybe she needs a bath or a foot massage, or, you know, it can be something simple like that, or cooking her a meal, or taking some light off her load, you know, just something like that, I would say.
Yeah. Mike, not concerned, but when I hear this, it's clear a pattern already. And so it goes, it's kind of like it's a phase of the relationship that's it's kind of stuck. And as we often say, you know, that sex should start at breakfast. And mostly for women, I think this is something that maybe it's hard for most men to understand the mechanics, that the woman needs safety and needs connection first. So if there is resentment, if there is the garbage that was not taken out and all this, and then one comes and wants sex, there is no energy, there is no environment for that. So if it's a pattern, it would also be important to look at what is on the way, which normally is always a lot of resentment on the way, things that weren't spoken because there's not a good communication. I think it's so needed, you know, but couples therapy really supports people in this way, because sometimes it's so hard to go out of the patterns we're at. Doing this type of Tantra work, things that really brings us into a team playing while we are disconnected, because this is really showing a disconnection, no? And yeah, all you guys said about, and you personally were saying that it's very important checking where she's at, because I think that's the whole thing about relationships, is like, we are in different stages all the time. And how do we connect in these different stages? It's not easy, but it needs a lot of attention and work. And I think sexuality is underrated in terms of like how much we think we should have sex, and if we don't have sex, there is a problem in the relationship. But I would say, like, if there is a problem in the relationship, we won't have sex. So it's just showing that we need to put a lot of more energy into the connection. But I also think there's something that we could talk here, and I would love to hear your perspective about, like, how are men wired, also for us women to understand, because I see, you know, from my like group of girlfriends, also from women's clients, there's a lot of complaints about, like, oh, he doesn't leave me, he doesn't feel me, he's very quick, he wants to go quick, he wants to, and I do not like this talk of blaming. For me, I think it's always about, we need to understand each other. We are different, you know, we have different types of bodies, and I think it's very precious to have, you know, like, different genders here. And what is your perspective about, like, what it is to be a man that enjoys or not enjoys sex and sexuality for a man?
I will go.
Not an easy question.
You touch a very important thing before that I want to underline, that is the word resentment. And I think you can do all the work and do meditation, take care of lots of things, and if there is resentment in the relation, sex will happen badly, will happen few times, not will be not alive. And to clean up this resentment, it's good to do an exercise, is that the couples have a discipline of communication where they speak from the place that they feel, not in blaming the other, about these little rocks that we create, and at the end it's start to be a wall, and then it's a castle. And every week to take out these little rocks that are on the resentment part. And it's very important to communicate that, to have that discipline, to avoid the walls to grow. And the solution is to men present solutions, is to have this discipline of talking from a place of what I feel, not in the place of you. And it's very important that going to the second point that you spoke, and how the difference between us men and women. And I will say that we have two different spirals. The spiral of the man, it's around the genitals and expands to all the body. And the woman is exactly the opposite. It comes from outside till you arrive to the genitals of the woman. And if we understand this basic difference between the male neurologic response and the female response, maybe we find a way to make these two polarities to be more compatible, because we understand there is different ways to arrive to the same place.
Whoa. And also women change a lot, because when you're younger, you're much easier and quicker to turn on. But especially when a woman starts reaching perimenopause, or you've been in a long-term relationship, or you have kids, the woman becomes less, what's the word, like instantly desired, and they call it responsive desires that you can use to grow the desire. So you do things slowly to create the desire, which also is up to the woman to create. So it's not just like, oh, I don't feel like sex, I'm just not going to do it and leave the man starving. It's also about both of you realizing, okay, so you can't just say, let's go fuck, and then the woman's turned on. Sometimes she takes some time, and like what Ashik was talking about, the spiral, the woman being touched from the outer periphery of the body and working your way towards the genitals, even the nipples. It takes some warming up for women, and then the desire can become more intensified. So as well as communication, it's also important to understand the phases of being a woman, because we change. And I know from myself that the way that I respond now is very different to just a few years ago. So I think that's also important. And this is what Tantra teaches you. You can go to Tantra retreats like Awaken Experience, and there are different tools and techniques to help you learn more about yourself and where you are in your life and in your body in the moment, because this changes all the time, especially if you're a woman and a man. But so to learn tools of how to communicate, what to do if you're not feeling much desire, or you have a low libido, or you're having this resentment, how to communicate resentment, how to remove those rocks out of the way. It's great to go for therapy, as we all know, but sometimes therapy doesn't help. Talking doesn't help. We carry so much in our body, and that's what I love about Tantra, is that it's very much in the body. Somatic. It's learning how to work with the body, not against it, how to work with the mind, not against it. We are such incredible beings with so much opportunity for evolving, for experiencing ecstatic joy and bliss, but we've been conditioned to get wrapped up in our negativity sometimes, and it's just because we don't have the tools. And from my experience, Tantra can really help us to develop that inner joy and to share it. And it comes a lot down to the practice of self-love.
Beautiful. I'm going to share a very private story, but it goes very much into what you're saying. It was an experience I had in a Tantra retreat a long time ago with some facilitators that you know. And I used to have, and as you said, like therapy helps, but there are things that take so much in the body. And I could see the difference after I experienced this situation in this Tantra retreat for me and the partner that I was there in the practice at the moment. I used to attract men who had a bit of this energy that I would call them perverts. So I think bringing back the question that was raised. And I didn't know so much how to set boundaries. I would at some point I realized I was there and I was like, I don't like this. But it was already too late. So I had this. And after this, never ever again. It's fine. And then I was doing an exercise with a friend, someone I met in the retreat, a guy that I really liked. And we were quite in an advanced stage of the retreat. It was like the 21 days or something. So it was a full-on retreat, a month. And we did this, the circular breath work together. And while we were breathing in and out from the fourth and the third chakra, he was leaning into me and I was as usually receiving his energy, but feeling oh my gosh, that's suffocating me. So I was like this, and he was not noticing. He was a very gentle guy, but he had this abusive energy that he didn't notice. Okay, so he was breathing, and I was here. And then suddenly, which I always, when I tell these stories in my retreats, I always say, you don't do this here. But the facilitators, they knew me, they knew him, so they let it be played. Something came up and I started punching him. It was stronger than me. At the end, he had a bit of blood, was very, and no one was saying nothing because they knew me, which was always yeah, I'm okay. No boundaries. I'm okay with everything. And also the guy had no self-awareness of his energy because he was a nice guy. Sometimes what we call pervert is not it's just an energy that doesn't have a container. And at the end, both of us, we were crying, hugging each other, thank you, because he could see and something shifted in him and in me. It was not psychological. We were not talking, normally I don't know how to set boundaries. It was with breath work, it was with intention. It was so strong. It was 20 years ago. And I still remember this because my life, in the way I perceive boundaries with men, changed completely. And I'm pretty sure something really changed for him because he could see where this energy was coming from and he stopped it. So yeah, just wanted to bring that because you're sharing this and it's true. This work goes so deep because no one wants to, it's so painful. You're in a relationship, you love your wife. You have desire, your desire feels creepy. I don't know why it feels creepy. And it's such a, yeah. Okay. Should we move to the third question? We can talk about this forever now. Okay, I think this is going to be the last question for today. And hopefully we're going to leave the email at the end so people can start, sharing things that we can go more into these conversations, which is very nice. And I picked one that was specifically done for our retreat. So it's this woman that wrote, I've done thousands of retreats. And I still feel like I always go back to the same pattern. Here we go. I'm wondering if this is truly the right path for me. What can a retreat like Tantra actually offer me? It's very common, that we feel that we've done so much and nothing is really changing. Am I spending just money around?
I would say that actually sometimes we don't realize the changes that happen. So we make changes and they can happen subtly. So it's not like a big, wow, I'm totally different now. In your case, it sounds like it was a really strong experience and shifted something. Sometimes we have small shifts and we make changes, and it's important to look back and see, oh, actually, I did change. And sometimes it's so gradual you don't realize. But with the Awaken Experience, what we really try, and the most important message that we transmit is how to bring Tantra to your daily life. So this retreat is how you can really be here in your body, in the moment, doing the practices and integrating them as tools to take to your everyday life. And also giving you the opportunity to spend time to see how you can really put it into practice. So it's not just about like, okay, I'm going to do this meditation now or this type of touch. It's how you're going to communicate with yourself, with the other, and it could be from your partner or your mother or work colleague, and also how you respond. So learning how to respond and not just react is a big part of how to integrate these tools into your life, because then you're more conscious. So reaction is usually a pattern. It's usually instinctual. Not much thought goes into it. But when we can become more self-aware, we can breathe, which is a tool. How am I going to respond to this trigger? Why is this person triggering me? Is it really what they have done, or is it because of something that happened when I was a child and this is a repeating thing and this is how I normally react and respond like this? So like coming back to your breath, to how you feel inside, looking at you, because, you know, we often want to be like, oh, he's done this again and it's his fault. It's so hard to sometimes look at ourselves and be like, okay, he is doing him and he might be in the wrong, or he might be, you know, acting out of his own patterns, but the only thing that you have power over is yourself. So coming back to yourself, learning how to see your shadows and your patterns and to have the power to change them. That is what helps you to make the changes. And sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's like quite intense. And I think it's also important to go easy on yourself and to not judge yourself like, oh, I didn't make any changes. And maybe you just haven't been to the right retreat yet, or you haven't heard the right message yet. But I think it's really important to look at ourselves without judgment and to see how we can integrate the tools rather than just do them as something to tick off. Yeah.
I really like what you said, you know, because I hear that and I also like sometimes have this judgment, but this idea that I've done everything and nothing changed. Most of the time it's not true. Which is because what we think that should change is like, I'm not going to change. I'm still going to be Mariana with his body. So kind of like the background, the patterns, they may still be running a little bit to show. But the way I navigate that is probably going to be very different. Maybe with way more compassion, way more acceptance, way more presence, but still the tendency may be there. I think that's where people get a bit frustrated because they see something, because sometimes it's true, you can have a big shift like I did in this specific situation, but you know, I was not bringing this example as like, this is what you get. No, was not my most powerful experience. I think the most powerful experience in my life was learning to accept that I have patterns, you know? So I think first is to acknowledge that most of the times we are, like the work is very subtle. Is what I love about the Awaken Experience, the way you guys brought this work, you know, and you invited me to jump in with you, but it's mainly coming from, you know, the way you also live, and it's really inspiring. It's very honest and grounded into reality. So it's not bypassing wounds and bypassing that our weakness. We're still going to feel weak and shy and trembling, but the Awaken Experience, the way it's made, is holding you to accept yourself way more, and also to learn how to put in practice everything without bullshitting yourself. This is what we normally do. We jump from one retreat to the other and we see, this is what life should be, not where I am. this sucks. In the retreat, I was feeling good.
Yeah.
And here is like, no, you're not selling that. You're always like bringing us back to reality. So it's very grounded. I would say this is the twist, or the juicy of this retreat is it's very grounded in reality. It's very precious. Yeah.
Somehow, Awaken Experience was designed for beginners, for someone that doesn't have any experience in Tantra, but also for very advanced tantrics. Because as the name says, is to awake what we already are. Sometimes it's not to change anything, it's to remember. And that remember maybe is a big change from what it is or what is the perception, what we are. But also the other word from the awakening experience is that we drop this idea of teachings, of gurus, of masters, and we ask all the time everyone in a retreat to experience, to feel it, to know by yourself what is. And then something might shift inside because it's your own experience. And it's nothing. It's so when we know that something it's good by we taste, I don't know, a strawberry, we have our own experience. We know what a strawberry is. And if someone tried to describe the flavors and the taste and that's good and that, it's not the same. That's why it's so important to bring back the power to each one. And that's the awakening, that's remembering that what we are and what we feel in the body. And I think it's a very important aspect together with what I saw in many, many Tantra retreats, that is about stimulation. It's about intensity.
Yeah.
And here it's all about integration. It's to give time, as Laxmi said, to slow down sometimes, to slow down, to integrate, to feel more in ourselves. And then might be different, might be you get the experience that you need to awake yourself, I would say.
Awaken yourself, yes. I think it's beautifully said.
It's very important to take in account our nervous system. There is so much stimulation everywhere that we need to give time to our nervous system to settle down, to feel, to have space, to integrate.
Yeah. And I think it's also really important what you said, is because many times people think they will become superhuman or like not human, because being human is messy. It doesn't matter if you've meditated for 20 years or whatever, you will still experience anger, sadness, grief, joy, and you should be grateful that you do, because if you're not experiencing anger or pain or suffering, you're not really going to feel the full extent of your pleasure capacity or your capacity for joy. So, I think it's really strange how some people think like, oh, she's a yoga teacher and she still gets angry but she's shouting at me or whatever. It's like, that's totally missing the point, because we are human and we're not going to escape our humanness until we die. So embracing, this is what I love about the Awaken Experience and Tantra, is that your emotions, none of them are negative. They are all embodied. They are all loved and accepted. And we shine the light of awareness on our shadows, on our anger. We allow the anger. We allow the sadness. We allow the sorrow. We allow all of those things that are lurking there in the shadows that we think we're not allowed to experience, and we bring them to the light, and they are transformed. And that is also a beauty of Tantra, is that it's like the practice of alchemy, taking the darkness into the light, and just loving the dark, because the dark is not something to fear. It's something to, just like the light, to be embodied, to love, to appreciate. Because like you were saying, we develop all these patterns when we're younger to help us survive. And sometimes they can become our shadows, or they can become limiting. But without them, we wouldn't be here. So we have to love all of the stages that we've experienced that have brought us to this present moment.
Oh, yeah. It's like, imagine how it would be if you would make peace with your emotions and you would enjoy being a human. Come to Awaken Experience. But it is that. At the end is that. But we do spend, and I think until you make peace with that part, the whole thing, the way we are raised is to control our emotions. They are bad. And when we hear about meditation, it's like it's true. Meditation can be a path of dissociation. So it's like, I love meditation, but meditation without diving into the yucky emotions is a bit like, it's a bit schizophrenia. And Tantra brings both together, which is make peace with emotions. And some are hard. Like for me, anger is hard. I like sadness, but anger is like, oh, it's hard. And Tantra helped me a lot. Now I can say no, but I couldn't. Now I can find joy saying no, and I can find joy in feeling angry. And before it was like, I shouldn't feel, we are raised to suppress emotions. So
Absolutely.
at the end, I think it's this question. It's not that you're gonna stop feeling that, but maybe you're gonna make peace with that, and you're gonna have a more fulfilling life.
And when you allow the anger, it becomes less toxic, you know. And it's not to say that you can go and scream and shout or be angry at somebody. It's more to express that anger in a safe way, which is what we go into in Awaken Experience, is learning how to express anger in a healthy way, because we suppress it, it comes out sideways and it can be harmful. So
or illnesses and all of
when we learn how to work with it, it can be magic.
Emotional awareness, it's a very important part of Awakening Experience. Together with meditation, together with a different practice, like to know how, and to trust in our hands, to touch the other, and also to learn, because we don't have a school to learn about sexuality, about anatomy, about physiology, about who we are when we are with the other, and about the other, if the other has different genitals, to know what is there, and to investigate that.
And how to respect the other's boundaries as well. Nobody taught us that. Hopefully you were taught that as a child, but it doesn't really work in sexuality. So I think that's so important to have a healthy sexual relationship, to know how to set your own boundaries and respect the other.
Yeah, and sometimes couples are coming to us and asking this and that about their sexuality, and they're waiting for magic. And the thing is, let's study, let's investigate about, let's look at these things, let's give time, let's give energy, because we give so much time to learn as men to drive a motorbike or a car or a boat or to do anything, and this is much less important than the sexual act for us men. And why we don't give time to that? Are you men waiting to learn it, seeing a porno movie, but because you are just going to get lost on the story?
The opposite.
Yeah, you need to learn. You have to question maybe how you make love, and to look at that from different perspectives, because there is all a belief system on the way we relate, and maybe it's good to ask, why is that? Why we cannot do in a different way?
And I think in that process, remaining curious or to develop more curiosity will help the situation, because I think we often go into making love with a partner or, doing things in the same way. But like, what if we go back and be like, how can I be curious? How can I see this in a different light? What new can I do? Or like, not to be a performance, but to be curious about the moment, about your body, about the other's body, and to be like really present. And then you could have a totally new experience with somebody you've been with for years.
Yeah. For example, to create a different space for the love happen, because while we leave the connection, the sexual connection, for the end of the day, after working, after dining, after everything is done, then there is this little time, that little energy to make love. And in Awaken Experience, we become a ritual. We become a perspective to create a sacred place, a love place, to develop the relationship between two persons.
Yeah. We could go on talking. Okay, I think we're going to close this for today. Well, I want to thank everyone that sent us questions, and we're going to leave an email here so that people can ask more questions, and we'll try to do this more often. Sometimes the three of us, sometimes, yeah. Do you guys want to say something before we close?
Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, send us an email. Otherwise, we are doing a retreat, all three of us together, from the 12th to the 16th of August. It will be a beautiful journey into the depths of ourselves.
In the most beautiful place in Portugal.
Awaken.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone who was listening, and see you soon.
Cheers.
See you.